forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know send me if it could flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight. Me have to take away me say. Have to take away me self. I have to utilize I wings. Surely I leave her relationship I'm gonna desist. But how can I face you when all I wanna do is just taste you? I know you think I play me, but soon you're gonna see the
Greetings, kings and queens. Welcome to another Real Stuff podcast. Today is Wednesday, and our special guest today is none other than Miss Cynthia Ellis out of Belize, and she'll be here this morning to talk to us about the upcoming GARIFUNA Nation Woman Movement virtual conference, and this is all happening in March 7th, 8th, and 9th. She'll be here to join us at 10:30. I'm going to be linking up with Flavius in a few minutes, so in the meantime, you gotta go get your favorite drink. You know what that was coming with that. Run, go get it. And I'll be right back. The music you hear in the background is none other than Tafina Tekwe myself.
oh, you move your arm, me way to the core. Sayonara, and girl gone through the door. Take away ourselves.
Hi, this is Pam Hall, and I'm inviting you to hang out with Flavius and Franco on the Real Stuff podcast. They're such great company.
I'm trying to connect the dots and fill in the gaps, but the questions in my head won't stop. Was it developed in a lab, or is it an act of God? The religious folks claimed it's prophetic. The conspiracy theorist and the doubtful Thomases says it's not a pandemic, a plan them planet to make the whole planet panic. They are tirelessly working around the clock to pick the padlocks of Pandora's box, boxing within the framework of a corrupt system. So many boxes, don't know what to believe in. The only thing making sense is who have the patent determines who will be the physicians and who will be the patient. Who will be the patient? Trick or treating, this is like nothing we have ever seen. Since COVID-19, we are all dressed in the same costume. Every day is Halloween. Every day is Halloween. Wash your hands, keep your distance, wear a mask, mask your fears. Quarantine, quarantine. Pay keen attention. Look beyond what your eyes are fixed on. Straight through the illusions. The Matrix is not a documentary, it's a science fiction with a sick plan to pull our hopes and dreams down like a quicksand. A quicksand, it's dangerous. The virus has turned the whole world into a circus. A circus. When money talks, no one pays attention to the grammar. Open the gates. Give the clowns the mic. They will direct the drama. The poets are sleeping, having nightmares about revoluting. The leaders are on a roller coaster ride, while the Joker sits in the corner, laughing, playing fool to catch the wise, playing fool to catch the wise. Trick or treating, this is like nothing we have ever seen since COVID-19. We are all dressed in the same costume. Every day is Halloween. Every day is Halloween. Wash your hands, keep your distance, wear a mask, mask your fears. Quarantine, quarantine, quarantine. You don't know what they're injecting, so don't volunteer to be a victim. Boost your immune system. Practice proper hygiene. Healthy eating and living is the best vaccine. The best vaccine. Your health is your responsibility. Get fresh food from the farmers. Turn your kitchen into a pharmacy. So while we quarantine, let's take a trip within. Self-reflect, redirect your energy. It's a new beginning. Feed your mind, read something, meditate, create, breathe. Start becoming better human beings. Better human beings.
In my own homeland, enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight. In my own homeland, this place.
Yes, that was Cherry Natural, the music you heard. Cherry Natural, the poet, author, karate instructor. Got Flavius here with me this morning. Flavius, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Morning, Franco. Morning, listeners. Morning, all. Well, we have been starting out the morning with bright sunshine of recent times, but this morning we have showers of blessing.
Showers of blessing.
Hydrated.
I love how you said that one, man.
Yeah, man.
This morning we have showers of blessings.
Oh,
I haven't heard
That's
that
why we are so
in a long
green,
time.
pretty much. Yeah, man, we are, as you know, we are always green, fully green. And that's the reason why, we have enough showers to keep us going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the water system going and keep the land hydrated and fertile,
Mm-hmm. The only thing I can tell you, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice to have. So what's on your side?
My side, sunny day. Can't complain. The weather is cool. And everything is good so far. Just we calling it, just enjoying it as best as I can, because I know pretty soon we soon drop down in when the spring break start. We know it's summer, and for some reason I just have this feeling that summer is going to be, extremely. I don't even want to say extremely, but I think it's going to be very challenging, very, very, very challenging. So.
Okay.
I'm bracing myself for that, both psychologically, mentally, physically, and spiritually as well.
Well, that is good when you prepare. As a man, as somebody said, you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. That's what we have to do. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So when the worst comes, you can manage it.
Absolutely. So today we have with us Cynthia Ellis. I call her Queen Lubafu.
Yes.
From the GARIFUNA Nation, getting ready for their upcoming women's conference. The women's, the Indigenous Women Movement Virtual Conference, March 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yes.
So she's going to come and talk to us today about how all of that is going and what we should expect that virtual conference.
And she has been doing a lot of traveling across the GARIFUNA Nation. She tell us a little bit about that also.
Yeah, I've seen her pictures. I've seen her pictures circulating in our contact box as often as possible.
Yeah.
So that is a plus right there.
Yeah, man.
So before we get into all of that, what do you have for us this morning for Did You Know?
Okay, this morning we have reached the final Twin Island. The Twin Island state, and we are speaking about the second island or the smaller islands with less prominence. So today we will speak about Tobago of the Twin Island state of Trinidad and Tobago Republic.
Today we will continue with our Twin Island states of the Caribbean. And our final one is Trinidad and Tobago. So today we will be looking at Tobago. Small but perfectly formed, the island of Tobago lies at the southerly edge of the Caribbean. Less frequented than its bigger, livelier sister, Trinidad, this little Caribbean gem is often overlooked as a luxury holiday destination. But there's so much to see and do in Tobago. You really shouldn't miss it. The Tobago tourist industry is mostly homegrown, with hotels here tending to be independent, low-rise properties that blend sensitively into their beautiful surroundings. This genuine vibe is one of the reasons travel specialists recommend the island as a classic Caribbean luxury holiday destination. Therefore, whenever you visit Tobago, you know you are getting an authentic experience of the Caribbean. The cuisine here takes its cross-continental influence from all over Africa and India. There are some truly mouth-watering local specialities to be tried while on the island, chief among them being crab and dumpling, which is a must for those wanting an authentic taste of Tobago. Other local dishes you need to sample include doubles, curried chickpeas encased in fried bread, coconut water, chow, fresh fruit marinated with lime juice, salt, pepper, and Mexican coriander, known as chadon beni. Being less developed than some other Caribbean islands, a Tobago holiday gives visitors more space to roam in nature. The flora and fauna here are truly sublime, with many rare species to encounter. Just off the northeastern coast of Tobago is an island called Little Tobago, also called the Bird of Paradise Island. This wildlife sanctuary houses an incredible array of birds and reptiles. You could visit Little Tobago on a day excursion to really immerse yourself. Unfortunately, however, chances are that you will not see birds of paradise. Between March and September, sea turtles, including the endangered leatherback species and the hawk-billed turtle, alight on Tobago shores to lay their eggs. Young turtles hatching and making their way back to the sea really is a sight to behold. The best beaches to see turtles laying eggs in Tobago are the aptly named Turtle Beach, Grafton Beach, and Stonehaven Beach. Tobago takes the preservation of its natural diversity seriously, so a permit and registered guide are required to watch these prehistoric creatures. This is something that we'll be happy to have you look at. Many hotels can also recommend experienced local guide. Not to be confused with whiskey capital of Scotland, the southwest of the island is a popular base for tourists due to the short transfer from the airport and proximity to the charming capital of Scarborough. However, it is widely agreed that you will find the island's most untouched, rugged beauty to the northeast side, with the area around Spegside being a particular highlight. Here you will find dense forests and enchanting waterfalls, as well as pristine coral reef. And that's the Did You Know for today. Tomorrow we will look at the other 5 reasons to be in Tobago.
I couldn't care less. Ooh, this place, it is definitely blessed. My own homeland. North or south, feel free to wander about. You can jump, dance, or sing and shout in my own homeland. Give yourself a treat, a few days or a week, and you will see just what I mean. Just take my advice, everyone is nice. You feel like royalty, my friend.
Did You Know is brought to you courtesy of Slowly Jamaica, uniquely Caribbean. So in case you didn't know, now you know. Flavius, you did it again?
Yes. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, so you did it again.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tell me something, so to give me a little bit more on the Tobago part of it, because I remember back in the 90s, I used to have a friend, he passed away now. I used to have a friend, he's from Tobago actually. And
Okay.
used to tell me about when Carnival was coming, and he was saying that a great portion of those who participated in Carnival also are from Tobago. But two
yeah.
people always make, and this guy, I'm telling you, when you're talking about Trinidad, you better say Trinidad and Tobago. Don't say Trinidad alone to him.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Right.
So,
Very important.
I always say, no, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. You guys always leave out the Tobago. Why, Cole?
That is exactly why I am highlighting these second islands now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a distinct contrast between Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
because Trinidad is all black sand
Mm-hmm.
and Tobago is all white sand,
Okay.
you know. So Trinidad, was birthed pitch, asphalted concrete, best in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then oil. So the tourism part of Trinidad and Tobago is actually can be found on Tobago,
Mm-hmm.
because it lends itself the nice beaches, the white sand, and the people are very laid back. They're not in the hustle and bustle, and it is right beside Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Tobago and Grenada are pretty close. And a lot of Grenadians, I mean, as you just say in Jamaica now, hug up carnival. They love carnival. In fact, Sparrow was born in Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Trinidad just capture him.
That's them son, huh?
But yeah, I know that Trinidad and Tobago, I know they have a ferry that takes you, from one island to the next. So that is how I guess you can fly there too, but the ferry they use the ferry to carry goods and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about the second islands is that, like I was saying yesterday about Barbuda, the whole development phase of what is happening has kind of passed them by somewhat. Mainly because they don't really want it. They don't really want the hustle and bustle.
Mm-hmm.
They want the whole slow, laid back thing. And then Friday we can probably talk about St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I went to Beckway, and Beckway was, it just slow. It's like a non-stop. When you're there, you just feel so good. Not many cars passing you by, and people, all these islands are very small population, and of course everybody knows everybody and all that kind of stuff. But it's nice. It's nice to visit if you want to escape all the madness and whatever. Places like that you have to go. Step away from the old commercial thing and the up and down and the noise and all of this stuff. Go there, man, and you can relax completely. Can you
So
imagine watching turtles laying eggs and the babies born right on the beach in front of your eyes?
so it's definitely one of the spot on your destination list.
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
All right. So you heard it here. Flavius just threw himself out there. Said, say it's a destination spot for you to see. So
Yeah, man, it is.
when all of this pandemic
It is.
craziness is over, I know people should be heading out on vacations. They not going to even name vacations, no more going to name funcations.
Of course,
Because people are going to have fun. I want to play Pam Hall, Want You Forever, before we bring in our guest this morning.
Yes.
Queen Lubafu Iseni. I call her the Queen. You know why when you hear her later on. She's coming
Yes.
at 10:30 to talk to us.
Brilliant lady. Yeah, brilliant lady.
So she'll be here at 10:30 to tell us more on the upcoming women's movement taking place in Belize, the GARIFUNA Nation. Miss Pam Hall with Want You Forever. My bad, them say mix up a guan, blend up a guan, but no. I think I should have played it, but I'm going to see if I can drop it in. But we're going to lick Pam Hall first and then
Yes.
touch piece off of this.
Oh, take you well, this one is a bombshell to be with me forever. I really love you, baby. Really love you, baby. Want you forever. Really love you, baby. Really want you, baby. I wish that you were the man in my life. I would like to take you to my home to be with me forever. I really love you, baby. Really love you, baby. Want you forever. Really love you, baby. Really want you, baby. Love I will give you is so powerful, so special. Under your skin it will flow through your vein. My love's insane. This love I give, I just can't stop. I just can't stop. It's in your face, even when you turn your back. And just like a magnifying glass, the heat that I transmit will melt your heart. Oh, I wish that you were the man in my life. I would like to take you to my home to be with me forever. Really love you, baby. Really love you, want you forever.
Well, this one is a bombshell.
Mix up a guan, blend up a guan. That shawty never see this from Shibon. Social media them love me more shot and everything you fi post.
One of the artists tune right now on social media. Tasha T out of Canada.
Put it on Twitter, you fi smart and clever, and everything you fi share. I want like clown of the year. Don't bring your life here over likes and share. Don't throw your business out there. Cause this a one a real epidemic. Everybody get hooked on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Girls send a man a picture in a bathroom of babe. Next thing it a line a get rant and rave. Some people don't know if they post. Mama read over foreign and never get divorced. I Jamaica post it online and the wife sister see no way black up in a jail over stupidity. You shouldn't post. I get hype on a post, lad. Even if you like Twitter, do not put it on Twitter. You have to smart and clever, and everything you will share. Don't become the next clown of the year. Don't bring your life here over likes and share. Don't show your business out there. Now everybody a target, everything I expose. Wanted man get catch to him a tweet and a post. Media junkie no east. Laptop and phone, so the thief check your page and know when you owe. Man full of big job and get Western free. Not a source, no suspect him take the Kyle of money. But he buy him girlfriend of a suit and Gucci, and she post it online and say some things not for post. I get hype and a post, lad. And everything glitter, you go put it on Twitter. You be smart and clever, and everything you fi share. Now one like say you don't care. Cause even if you're vexed with your man, I put it on Instagram, work it out. Cause I know yes you can. Man tell your wife him gonna foreign on a business trip, and every day I'm calling tell her how him love and miss. Until her friends and her some mix with some Instagram pics with a husband and a girl that hold hands and kiss. My gosh, you grow your kids just like a parent should. Try to shield them from the bad and teach them all at school. Can you imagine someone sending you a viral clip with your daughter and your son and do some spiral it? You shouldn't post. I get hype and a post, lad. And everything glitter, you go post it on Twitter. You have to smart and clever, and everything you fi share. I want like clown of the year. Don't bring your life here over likes and share. Don't show your business out there. You shouldn't post.
music from Empress Tasha T. I know everything you fi post. Social media hype, the title of the song. Check it out online. It's available on all digital platform outlet. We have with us now, I call her the Queen, Queen Lubafu, and she's gonna join us right now. So as always, you know, we show reverence for everyone that comes on the program, but I have great respect for this lady. So without any further ado, I'm gonna bring in the Queen.
Walking on sand and holding your hand. Feel like a tourist in my own homeland. In my own homeland. Enjoying the bright, the warm sunlight. Oh my God, what a beautiful sight. In my own homeland. This place is so nice, wanna do everything twice. Yes, I feel as if
This
I'm
is your
in a
very own
paradise.
sports, music, and lifestyle podcast with Flavius and Franco. Welcome.
Yes, welcome back, welcome back. We have with us this morning none other than Cynthia Ellis, aka Queen Lubafu Iseni. Greetings, Queen. How you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. We haven't been together for a long time, so
Very
Happy
long
New Year.
Yeah, everything comes with it.
Yes, so hailing from Belize, all the way in the south, the deep south. I'm now in a place called Punta Gorda.
Mm-hmm.
I came from Barranco, sacred land of the Garifuna people. Mm-hmm.
And today you're going to talk to us about a upcoming conference that is taking place in March.
Right, that's right. March 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Mm-hmm.
As with the GARIFUNA Nation, we are indigenous people, like the Maya and other people from different parts of the world. We were here before the Europeans came to the Americas. And so it's a continuing conversation, a continuing process of celebrating and affirming the people, the indigenous people, and the wisdom and strength of the people, but more not just to talk, but to really walk the talk, because people just talk about us, and then when it comes to implementation of programs or strategies, we are left out.
True,
we don't
true.
sit at the table.
Uh-huh.
So this is an ongoing conversation where we are taking responsibility for ourselves. It's more than a conference. It's a movement, actually.
Mm-hmm.
A movement, a series of conversations where we are not complaining, but we are taking responsibility for ourselves the way we did many years ago, many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
before Columbus and the Europeans came. They found us here.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they stole, they murdered, committed genocide, and then now have the audacity to want to continue to control and manage our resources. So this is a conversation where women are at the center. The month of March is the United Nations Month for Women. Actually,
Absolutely.
March the 8th is the declaration. It's a Women's Day.
Yes, yes.
But we have what we call Women's Month. And so although we focus on women participation, we are looking at the conditions of our families and our communities. We've had a series from last year, November, where we were focusing on the celebration of the arrival of the Garifuna to Belize and other parts of the world. And then we continued the conversation with looking at economic concerns and particularly the impact of genocide on our people, on the psychology of our people. And as we are continuing now, we're focusing on the healing process, healing of ourselves, healing of our families, healing of our relationships with one another, and healing of our nations and countries, as we are a nation.
Okay.
We are a nation within nations. So that's what it's all about so far.
And this one is more important than the one that took place in November, right? Because you had a conference in November that was similar to this one coming up now.
Right. Well, similar in the sense, but it's like building blocks. So we did have a summit in February, or in January, February, yes. And now we are continuing. It's a continuing conversation. As we said before, it's a movement where we're identifying with like-minded people. And this time it's even deeper. We're going deeper because we're connecting with people from all over the world. It's a circle, you know?
Okay.
And this particular month, we're declaring a launch of Indigenous Women Network for Indigenous women from all over the world. We want to connect Jamaica, the Caribbean, South America, Africa, North America, Europe, and coming back to Central America, South America. So it's a circle, you know, intentionally. And we are also looking at what we are calling our succession strategy, where we focus on young people, the inclusion of young people, the voices of children and young people.
Beautiful,
So I've been asking questions for the young people. What is it? How do they see the world? And what do they want their world to look like? So I have been in Barranco, for example, and there one of the things these brilliant children have come up with is the issue of infrastructure. The road, the access to where they live is horrible. And even now with the COVID, they're expected to do things virtually. However, the Wi-Fi internet connection is limited, if at all. If you don't have the resources to buy the data, then your children will not be able to communicate or be educated nowadays, and that is wrong. That is totally wrong. So these are some of the issues that we have to address, the issue of health and wellness. What are the facilities for our people in our communities? If you don't have the resources to fly or have a vehicle to go from point A to point B, that's it. We had the experience of a child dying recently because the child had to be taken from Barranco to Punta Gorda, from Punta Gorda to Danguega, from Danguega to Belize City. By the time the child arrived in Belize City, that was that. So that's not good enough. That is just not good enough. So we are on this campaign. We now have a Minister for Indigenous and Women Affairs. So we are having conversation with her, and also people in different parts of the world, people from the diaspora, people who come from our communities and countries who live in different parts of the world. We're calling them into account. We're calling ourselves into account. We're calling the University of the West Indies into account, so that it's not just talking and getting a degree or an education so that you have a piece of paper, but you have the qualifications and the responsibility to give back to the community that nurtured and nourished you. So that's part of our outreach, which is very broad and wide. Can you imagine, Franco? I was in Placencia/St. Bite. That's another conversation. 50 women from communities here in the South selling their products. Even here, as I'm sitting in Punta Gorda, at least 6 women have come to sell different products from their communities. So I said to the women, you all go to Belmopan, go meet the Minister of Indigenous Affairs, go meet the Prime Minister and tell them, have your leaders go with you and ask them for better. You can't have women leaving their homes like this, leaving their families to be going selling products. That is inefficient. That is wrong. That is making them vulnerable, you know. So these are some of the issues that we are paying attention to in terms of, I'm not going to no steps in Belmopan to take picture with no minister. That's what we've had to do, to talk to these leaders and take photographs, and then they put it on the media, And then when it comes to these substantial issues, we need to address them in consultation with the people, not to make speeches, big speeches, and be on the media. So we are going in a bigger way. I was in a meeting yesterday with I was very excited when I arrived in Barranco. The women were making cassava, right?
Yes.
We make the cassava bread like how you all do the bami. And it was very exciting. For years, these women are having this initiative. And then a representative from an organization was there going through the budget, supposedly to help them to put a project together, right?
Yes.
And they were saying, going through and saying like the women would not be making any profit because of the cost, the expense. And I intervened and I said to them, from an indigenous women, people perspective, our relationship with land, our relationship with money, our relationship with the economy is very different. That doesn't mean that we are not prepared to align with other cultures and other ways of doing things. Things. But when you speak to an indigenous person, it should be like you're speaking to a United Nations consultant in terms of the value of indigenous knowledge and practice that we have, which was long before Columbus. You're talking about knowledge of over 2,000 years before Christ walked on this earth. Before Christ walked on this earth, our people were just very, very capable. The United Nations speaks about sustainable development. We were sustainable people before they knew what that word meant.
Yes, sir.
So it's been a very, very exciting time, and we're continuing on this journey intentionally, but this time, reaching out with indigenous people around the world. For example, in South America, we have the Maroons who are in the rainforest. Do you know that for you to speak to a Maroon in the rainforest, you need to declare your intention, especially if you are not from that culture, and you need to put down some funds. So they have something called the Forest People's Fund.
Never know
so that just as how you're going to take away from the people information that's priceless, that's valuable, then you need to make a contribution. These are some of the things that we are learning. We are connected with the Maroons in Jamaica, thank God, as well. And that's a beautiful, beautiful connection here. And we actually have been doing a series of show Radio Dumire to the Garifuna Nation. And we had a wonderful young man who was sharing the universality of indigenous connection, where he was talking about, sharing with us about like the prayer run. Like in this historical moment in the world right now, this is the time for the indigenous voice, the voice of our people all over the world. And so we are making our voices heard loud and clear.
Absolutely.
And binding, you know, the ties, the connections that were there from long ago.
I love it, because some of the things that you mentioned, you know, during your speech here, especially with the child that passed away, you know, obviously there's no medical facilities nearby that moving away from the village to another providence or whatever you call it. These facilities are not there. These facilities are not there.
Yeah.
You know, so she could have been, you know, stop at one place and get treatment, and then if she need major treatment, then she move on into the city of Belize.
That's right.
You know?
The thing though, Franco, is that we're looking at a health strategy that honors and respects indigenous knowledge.
True.
So it's not an either or, it's not one good and one bad, but honor and respect the fact that we have hello?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we hear.
Yeah, that we have our indigenous knowledge as well. So that is why the forest people from Suriname are very firm about the information that's shared, because pharmaceutical companies take the knowledge of the indigenous people, package it, and then they sell it back to us at a high price.
Yeah.
In fact, there are aspects of healing in indigenous way of being that doctors from all over the world come and they study, but they do not necessarily give the credit of that knowledge to the indigenous people. So it's like what we are reaching out for is complementarity and working together by celebrating and honoring and acknowledging the fact that we have valuable information, valuable practice in the knowledge of the plants and so on. What has happened in the past is that information and that knowledge is stolen, and then it is used by other cultures so that they can manipulate and make a lot of money. So we are in this movement exploring conversations of how we can work together without abuse. So that's what we are looking. That's what we are exploring. You know, we have had some very sad experiences over the years where researchers come from the United States, Canada, all over the world. They receive information from the indigenous people, and then they package it, and then they make movies and documentaries and so on, and then the community is left
no compensation.
empty.
No compensation.
Absolutely none. So this conversation, we are changing the narrative then, and not quarreling or fighting with anybody, but developing the capacity of our people to be able to engage, to be able to learn how to navigate systems, how to navigate structures. Can you imagine that we are coastline people, the Garifuna people, for example, we live on the coast, yet we are not sitting at the table where any strategy that is being developed, we are not sitting there. We are not sitting there. We are not being consulted on the use of our sacred lands and our resources. And what has happened is that there has been abuse. There's dredging. There are different plans that are being made without the consultation of the people who are living in these communities. And that is wrong. Absolutely. There's plans for dredging. There's just a whole lot of plans and strategies that are taking place. I mean, adding to the abuse that has been taken over the years of our people. And so this conversation is about stopping it now, right now. Cease and desist from selling our lands or giving over our lands to big companies and corporations who are not in a consultative relationship with us. And so this conversation is about a succession strategy for our children, for the young people, for our grandchildren, so that years later, when they become aware of this and they ask, what did we do? They will know that we have had our voices heard in Honduras, in Guatemala, in Nicaragua, all these countries. People are being murdered for their land in Honduras. The Garifuna people are being murdered because the pristine coastland is seen. They're viewing it as, like all over the world, the Caribbean and so on, right?
Yes.
Other people want what we have, and they will kick us out and take it over so that they could use it however they wish, and then push us to other places, you know? So that is wrong. So and because people are existing, then they are being murdered in Honduras. Let's call it what it is, literally, especially the men.
Okay. So you have some invaders there now, killing people.
Definitely. We've always had invaders. Our territories were abused by invaders.
Where they coming from? South America? Are they from the South America side?
Well, from the Europeans. Europeans came in. The Europeans are from the U.S. Europeans are U.S.
No, I mean, what is
Canada,
going on
you know?
now? What is happening now in Honduras? Who are these people?
All people. These are large companies that get the support of the Honduran government to take over the territory that is Garifuna owned. And when the Garifuna refuse to move, then they are murdered. Okay. That happens all over Central America. That has always been the case. That has been always the case over the world. We know that for the resources of the people. If it is gold, if it is diamonds, if it is minerals, if it is special hardwoods, whatever the resources are, that's historical, right? We know that's historical.
True.
Belize was built by pirates. I mean, not built, but invaded by pirates. And before these pirates and buccaneers came, the indigenous people were here. So it's basically we're spending this year educating and informing people about the facts so that we can develop our strategy to tell the story differently and also to heal, because this has been a traumatic experience for us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the conversation. Why we focus on women is not just to acquiesce to what the United Nations is doing, because thank God the United Nations has recognized that women have been left out of the conversation. And so what we do is to identify two things. One is that men have been the target for elimination, so it's mostly men who have been killed in our countries, even in our, what they call inner city. It's the young black men, it's the GARIFUNA men who are targeted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So although we are addressing the issue of relationships between men and women, we are also looking at the bigger picture, the umbrella, where we know that men are the ones who are targeted for elimination first, either by giving them the taste for drugs or maneuvering in the drug trade or gangs, or just identifying those so-called troublemakers for elimination. And this has always been the case in Central America. In Central America, like Guatemala and these different countries, for many years, entire villages were decimated. Entire villages. We have the Nobel Prize winner, Rigoberta Menchú. She's an indigenous woman, one of our sisters, and she wrote the book called I, Rigoberta Menchú, where she describes her struggle. She's part of the Human Rights Association network campaign, and we are too, because we have been going international, because the attacks on our people can only be supported by international linkages and connections. So as women, we are the ones who have to stand in position, because our men are being ostracized and eliminated first.
Wow. Let me ask you something, Lubafu. Who are some of the guest speakers that will be joining you for the conference?
Wonderful.
Yeah, who are some of the guest speakers?
Wonderful. First of all, we're going to have youth voices, young women and young men who are we are supporting them in leadership one time. We have Latasha Brown. She is the young woman from the United States who co-led the campaign Black Voters Matter. And it was her work, it was their work that changed the landscape in the United States and brought out the Black vote.
Mm-hmm.
And so she is one of the speakers. She has visited Belize. She loves Belize. She really is very amazed with the GARIFUNA culture, namely that we managed to survive and that we have this nation of GARIFUNA all over the world. We are a bit different from the Maroons in the sense that we are sending our connection like in a circle worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
The other speaker that we have, one of the other speakers is Dr. Carla Barnett. She was in the previous government. It doesn't matter. We hold both the government and opposition accountable. And she is going to be continuing on the issue of land, addressing the issue of land and customary land rights. and how do we organize ourselves around these issues, you know. We will also have Lisa Khan. She is a biologist, marine biologist researcher who has been very active in the restoration of the reef. Since we are a coastline community, we're interested in looking at preservation of our environment. And so Lisa has this organization called Fragments of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a distinguished marine construction engineer. I hope I get the title correct. But she is actually my niece,
Okay.
Melinda Ingleton. She went to Antarctica. She has recently been nominated for an award
Mm-hmm.
by the United Kingdom for her work as a woman, Garifuna woman. Of course, the UK never said Garifuna woman, all right?
Okay,
Or
yeah.
nor did they even say Belizean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But she received a nomination as one of the outstanding scientists in the world, women scientists. And so, as a Garifuna and as a Belizean, she's committed to mentoring and coaching and supporting young girls in the field of science and technology. So those are some of the...
Beautiful.
And then we also have a gentleman from South America,
Mm-hmm.
Stan Malone. He works with the Maroons of South America and the other indigenous people in the rainforest, looking at the wealth and the diversity of our forests and how we can organize and mobilize and support each other, because poverty is not our plight. We are not poor people. We are living in the richest resources in the world, and therefore we are intent on participating in managing those resources ourselves, not people coming in, invading, and bullying us for our resources. So this is a part of the movement intentionally to map out the landscape, to see what's been going on, the atrocities that have been committed, and to break that cycle of abuse once and for all. So that's some of what will be happening, including, of course, music. We're going to have the different art forms of communicating our struggle and our healing process, and how we are overcoming through our stories and our sense of identity, the way we dress, our craft, our everything as a part of healing. So the theme, the central part of this process is healing ourselves and healing our families, our communities, and our nations.
Everything will be on display. Which brings me to a question that I saw about highlighting the spirit of the cassava roots. You want to talk to me about that?
Sure, definitely, most definitely. Every cultural group tends to have a food that they gravitate to.
Okay.
For like the Maya, it's like the cacao, corn. For Garifuna, cassava. Cassava is like our essence, you know. And the beautiful thing about being Garifuna is that we have the two blood flowing in our veins. We have the African and we have the what is called the Amerindian or the Native American, you know. So we are poised with that. So that cassava comes from our Amerindian roots. So long before Columbus, we were planting cassava, and we would go many miles to get different types of cassava. And so if you go through South America and different parts of the Americas, you will find cassava, Guyana, and these different places. And the sacredness of it, it is said that it's a source of fertility. And so cassava is aligned with women. It takes 9 months for the cassava to bear fruit. So if you want fruit or vegetable, no?
9
And
months?
it really
9
is.
months? Wow.
9 months,
That's like
exactly.
that's like a pregnant woman.
A baby. That's the idea. That's the point. So then it radiates. The root, it radiates. And so that's why in this movement, this conference, our symbol is, it's more than a symbol. It's the essence of who we are, the cassava. And we have two types of cassava. We have the bitter one, and we have the sweet cassava. The bitter cassava is the one that we process to make the cassava bread. It has a poison that we have the technology, which we use what we call the roguma, or what people call the wawla, which hangs on the branch. We have a stick from the branch of a tree, which would drip out the cyanide poison out of the grated cassava. So for us, it is central to a lot of our healing rituals, our healing ceremonies, our what do you call it, Thanksgiving, our reunions. So like we have gatherings where cassava has to be a part of the food, you know?
Okay.
And so that is the power of the cassava for us. And it's not just practical, physical experience. It's very spiritual in the sense that the whiteness of the cassava, the juice, is purity. It's fertile. It's the essence. It's our strength. It is an opportunity for the coming together of people. So even though you have one root, you have radiation from that one root. And in the making of the cassava bread, there's different people in the family and the community come together, sing songs, tell stories in Garifuna, of course.
Yes.
And it is a community affair. It takes 2 days. If we are doing the cassava, the bitter cassava, 2 days of preparation, because we then have to take the grated cassava overnight, and then we complete the baking. So I was baking cassava in Barranco, okay?
Okay. I know. Can you send us some pictures with you doing some work? Every now and again it flash on the screen. But since you're mentioning that now.
Lubafu.
Yes.
Go ahead, Flavius.
One very significant part of the conference is that you are the convener along with your granddaughter.
That's correct.
Speak a little about that, please.
Thank you for that question, because it's been very exciting to identify and to coach young men and women, especially young women. And because it's like the cassava and other products that we have, it has to be cultivated, you know. So my granddaughter, her name is Cynthia Ellis. She is 15, and from the last conference, we had invited her, or like the first one, there was a feedback that we needed young people participation. So we asked her what were her concerns, and she said her concern was about plastic and in the ocean, the destruction of the environment, you know. So it was very amazing that she came up with that. And the organizers realized that it's very important to get the youth voice because they have a lot of brilliant ideas. So she is going to be introducing, moderating, she and some other young women. There are some young women in Barranco, Sinbite, and different communities who will be participating in terms of sharing their concerns, their views, and their questions that we will pay attention to. And then the awardee or the nominated Melinda Engleton, her focus is on girls and science and technology.
Wow.
So that's very exciting. With Lisa, and there is outreach for coastal zone management, and also what is called this Sagicor Challenge, where young people are invited to come up with ideas, innovative ideas, to addressing challenges in the environment. It's very beautiful.
I want to know about two things before. I want to know about the GARIFUNA Nation gift to humanity. What are some of the gifts?
Oh yes, that is such a beautiful point that you raised. They were focusing, UNESCO was focusing from 2001 about the intangible recognition of the Garifuna, the music, the dance, the culture. And the foundation of that is that the question or concern is how is it that the Garifuna have been able to maintain our identity, our language, our customs in the midst of all this adversity, in the midst of all this abuse. I mean, we literally experienced genocide when we were like the Maroons who were taken to Halifax, Nova Scotia. The Maroons from Jamaica were taken across the waters to Halifax to be left to die. But similarly with the Garifuna, we were taken to a place called Belize, which is across from leaving St. Vincent that we call Urume, and we were left to die. And so one of the first things that we are doing is that we are telling the story. The main purpose is telling the story because this story has been hidden, you know? It's not in the history books. It's not the way how we tell it in oral tradition. We tell it in our songs. We tell it in our customs. We tell it when we are preparing different kinds of food. So this is the time now that we are telling the story differently. And so the UNESCO has identified some sources of funding in the past where one of the things that they did in Guatemala was to identify Garifuna healing as a focal point for the Garifuna people. That is what that held us together, the healing center. The healing center, that space from which everything radiates, like the cassava, right? What radiates is our food, our dances, our music, our economy. Everything is in our healing centers that we call the Dabuyeba. So Garifuna culture, Garifuna spirituality is essentially captured in terms of our continuity and our more than survival. We have more than survived. And that is what the United Nations has declared us a masterpiece culture. They changed the name now, but we still hold on to the masterpiece part because it's like being like a world heritage culture, you know? And so this is what we are promoting in more tangible ways right now, with that at the center, our what we call Garifuna Duo. Garifuna Duo means a way of being. And so we are inviting different people. Even in our health strategy, we are looking at a health strategy with doctors who have that mindset and that appreciation. Medical people who have the appreciation of the fact that we have essential healing roots. For example, many of the foods, the Garifuna foods, are what people are calling gluten-free and organic. You know, many of our plants are being discovered by others now. So what we are doing now is making an alignment between this intangible knowledge, into the tangible. That's what the UNESCO Declaration was about.
Okay.
Now, in Barranco, I am staying at the Dabuyeba. That is a healing center. That is a sacred space, which where I am listening deeply to the essence of who I am as a Garifuna person, quietly by the sea. It's not just lying and melting in a hammock and enjoying the beach. That is there too.
Well, I've seen you've been enjoying the scenery as much. You're diving.
Yes, exactly.
You're doing all sort of things.
Yeah, enjoying life, Franco. Enjoying life.
That's good, man. That's good because in this crazy time, we have to. A lot of us are realizing our talents. Realizing some of the things that were hidden from us. Yeah, in terms of our resources as well.
Because in this COVID time, a lot of people are now gravitating to the source. The food, eat the food we used to produce. That everything you need is around you. Your knowledge of the plants, then you can identify. We can now identify that it is all around us. You don't even have to dig a hole and put some seeds in it. It's already there if you recognize it and go back to the source of what our ancestors had known and taught us, and which we took for granted.
There was I can't remember her name. I wonder if you can help me out here, Flavius. In November we had a young lady that came on the show, and she was showing us around along with your sister how they were doing their planting, taking care of their land.
What's her name is Martha Robinson.
She was very important. She was supposed to be involved in an election. How did that turn out for her?
Yeah, that's going to come up in a little while. That's coming up in March the 3rd. Actually, her counterpart.
Okay.
Yeah, her counterpart, the mayor, one of the mayors proposed for Dangrega. It's like they have a slate. This is how I understand it, because I don't follow up the politics so much. I just needed to give you some sad news that her son was murdered.
Oh my gosh.
Right in front of her house.
Okay.
And that is one of the issues that we are addressing and paying attention to. I'm so happy you brought it up, because that is an area that we are looking at in terms of providing alternative dispute resolution, building on the basis of our culture, right? Because as we spoke about the alignment of our way of doing things and the other culture way of doing things, we also look at the judiciary as well. So that is very sad that happened.
How is she keeping up? How is she keeping up?
Well, it's very challenging, very hard. She is keeping up. You keep moving for the sake of life.
Yes.
And the thing about it too is that she is very focused on improving quality of life for young people, and especially young men. So this is something that we have been paying attention to. One of our attorneys, or the Supreme Court, the judge from the South, she made a commitment before that, but even more so after that, to begin to provide information and education on many of these legal issues and encouraging us to address human rights issues. Like one of the things that came up in her presentation was that United Nations, or the International Human Rights networks have like an assessment of countries, or let's say governments, in terms of how they are paying attention to human rights abuse in the country. And she was saying that Belize has not responded ever. So that's an area that we are pushing. We are going to push. The other area is the area of transparency. Guyana apparently is one of the few countries where they have a group, a transparency core group that looks at implementation of different programs in countries relating to environment, relating to food sovereignty, relating to health. These different. So this is a mechanism that the judge brought up to us, Justice Moore, and we are going to follow up on that. We are following up on these issues. As I said, these conferences are part of our movement to put mechanisms in place over a period of time to get the facts about what's going on, to identify what the gaps have been and how we can collaborate with other countries and other people in this Garifuna nation.
Mm-hmm.
We know that we are not alone, and we help and support and encourage each other.
Yes, indeed. When she came on the show, I mean, I know she has a lot of hope that she can do some changes, make a difference.
Definitely, she will. She will.
And to hear this, I hope it don't get her discouraged. Just give her more strength to
give
fight.
Her more strength.
Yeah, to fight.
Yes,
and
she's actually one of our representatives for the reparation issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is really one of the things that we are going to continue. We identify leaders in different areas because no one person can do everything. So at this stage, we are delegating extensively and connecting with others around the world who have gone through some of what we have gone through.
Wow.
It's very, very, very tough.
I know.
And what's happening is that we haven't even touched yet the situation of people who are incarcerated, So that's young men. Mostly the largest population is young men,
Yes,
So that is why we identify speakers who have been on this kind of campaign, So we will have a Supreme Court judge from the United States, from California, who has been addressing issues relating to juvenile concerns, no?
Okay.
And ways in which that has been addressed. So it's like we're walking the talk and identifying solutions for the problems, not just talking about the problems, And they're all connected. We are all connected.
One of the things that she was excited about was land production. Like, and even starting like a small garden beside your house and things like that. But she was mostly excited about, Garifuna owning their lands and planting stuff on their lands, so that the food sovereignty can become a reality.
Exactly. Well, it is a reality. One of the things that's happening is that because the education system has identified agriculture in a way that is alien to who we are, then we, as Indigenous people, second guess ourselves, especially if we stray away from our culture and our way of being. So, for example, I was part of a meeting yesterday where a lady from an organization, an international organization, was talking about cassava, and she had never seen cassava, and she didn't know anything about planting cassava. No, the lady is well-intentioned, and I'm not disrespecting her in any way, but I'm just giving you an example of what it is. We have to be bold and courageous and speak the truth that we know. So what happened is that we, if we are not careful, are buying food that is alien to who we are. We're buying food from shops that have been processed and so on, and they are not healthy. So the idea is to begin to identify the fact that we have gardens all around. So gardening for us is not just putting together a plot and putting seeds in a hole or sticks in a hole. It's also identifying what we call forest gardening, where I could take you, or we could take a walk on a street, and I could show you many valuable plants that are useful for food, for medicine, and for construction. But because we have gone into these buildings called schools, which tell us otherwise, then that has eroded our indigenous knowledge. So now, thanks to COVID does have some opportunities.
Yes.
Not that COVID is a good thing. We are now forced to look at how we can feed ourselves, how we can take care of ourselves because of the limitations that COVID has put on us.
Oh yes.
That's what is going on, you know. That is what is going on.
It's funny you mentioned the lady with the cassava, because you sent me a picture, and on the caption at the bottom said cassava queen.
Yes.
So I was saying to Flavius, so that means we can't call her Queen Lubafu no more, we must call her Queen of Cassava.
You can do both. Whatever suits your fancy. Because this program will be sent all over the world, you see? And the idea is what we are doing intentionally, what I am doing intentionally, is to celebrate and to elevate who we are. That our world is a classroom.
Yes.
So one of the things that COVID is forcing us to come out of the buildings and to be virtually virtual, you know? So what we were long before, now we are also being drawn back to. We are being drawn back to being who we truly are as a people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the cassava queen idea is that it's okay to produce cassava. It's okay to identify with cassava. So this is part of the education, the information, and the awareness. Because this is not taught in school. What we are sharing here on this program is not taught in schools. So cassava is the core of all of us. So like the Maroons do cassava, people in South and Central America do cassava, the Haitian people do cassava. It's that first independent nation of the Caribbean. They do cassava. So this is an opportunity for us.
So that's our food. Basically,
yes,
that's our national dish, cassava.
Thank you very much. Good point. I think that is, so we need to put it like that, stamp it like that. That could be, that is our seal. Just like how with the Maya, the seal of the Maya is the cacao. You know, that's food of the gods. They didn't have money. And this is what I was trying to share yesterday in the meeting, that we cannot look at our transactions just in terms of dollars and cents, although money is very useful, very helpful, very important. We all need to value ourselves as priceless. It's hard to put a dollar tag on that kind of knowledge and practice. Planting cassava is a technique, it's a craft, it's an art. Every aspect of cassava bread making is an art. And this is something that is very deep and is very spiritual. When we are planting the cassava, we are praying, we are giving thanks. When we are maintaining the cassava beds, it is very sacred, it's very special. When we are harvesting, it's very sacred, it's very special. You know, there are prayers, there are songs, there are stories, there are different mannerisms that nobody can teach you in a book. So it's very beautiful. And the synergy that is there when you see the people together, it's not something that you can put together like a formula. It is what it is, you know, in terms of its distinctiveness and its richness.
You're so right, Lubafu. You're so right. You know, these are the conversations that I love. I indulge in conversations like this when we have, you know, guests or people who have been here before. Because I am sure to listeners and viewers who are, you know, listening now, you know, they don't know all of these information. Not all of because
Yes.
I certainly
Yes.
is not familiar to some of what you just mentioned earlier. It's just
It's new to
knowledge,
me too,
new
Franco.
information to me. You
Yes, it's
understand
new
me?
to me. Actually, it's new to me. And then the other thing that, I mean, there's so much. That's why the Garifuna Nation is developing University Without Walls, because this is the curriculum. These kinds of programs, I know, thank goodness you're recording them,
Yeah.
are resource for education. This is the real education.
True,
This
true.
needs to be integrated into the way of life of students, so that students now who are being homeschooled can be given credit for participating in cassava bread making, for example,
True.
or drum making, so that, because in it, you can cross all the disciplines: math, social studies, history, geography, science. All of these subjects are integrated in this one topic called cassava.
Yeah, man. That's why I'm looking for. This is like the third time you've been on the program. Well,
One thing, Lubafu.
Yes.
no, 1 minute, dear Flavius. This is like the third time you make mention on this program about those indigenous people who were taken to Canada in Halifax.
Yes, yes,
And so
yes,
now I am going to be more determined in getting somebody from Halifax, from that indigenous
yes,
nation
yes,
on this
yes,
program.
yes, yes.
Want to hear more?
Yes,
Flavius, you can
yes.
go ahead now. Go ahead now, Flavius. Flavius.
And he gone somewhere, but it's like a circle, it's a circle, Franco, that our
I
people
was
are
just
all
saying,
connected.
Here it comes now. Here it comes.
Cynthia, yeah, you hear me now? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you have been on the program a number of times. But could you just tell our listeners who is Cynthia Ellis as it relates to the Garifuna Nation?
Well, let me just describe nation in two ways. Garifuna Nation is, before I was even born, there was a nation. So before this colonization took place, the Garifuna people we were originally called Black Caribs because we escaped enslavement and we combined with the Carib Indians in the Caribbean. That's one version, right? The other version is that we were traders from Africa long before. So we call ourselves Garifuna people, and Garifuna is the people of cassava, right? Cassava. And that's what that means, because we have such a deep relationship with cassava. So I have told you the first time I was on, that I've been writing my memoirs, and who I am, I became aware of who I am through my grandmother, who died when I was 4 years old. And that is why I have great respect for children and young people and take nothing for granted, because who I am today was impacted by my grandmother, grandfather, and those who came before me. And so the Garifuna Nation was long before my time. So we are on the journey of understanding and identifying what this nation is. And nation is different from the nation that the Europeans and other entities defined with all those bureaucratic historical background. So I was told who I am from when I was a child by my grandmother and others like that, my parents. It is only in later years that I begin to understand and get the language for it, which is manifesting right now. So I have now been able to articulate and express that I am a leader, I'm a spiritual leader for the Garifuna people. And so it's not really about me, Cynthia, except that I am obedient to be used as an instrument for peace, for reconciliation, and for love. And that's why I embrace the name Lubafu Iseni, because that is the power of love. It's hard to translate it. And so I have the responsibility to share and to pass on to others. So Garifuna is not just from a race, it's a way of being. So you young men are, Flavius and Franco are honorary Garifuna. So it's a way of being, it's a way of behaving, it's a way of understanding. And so that spirit is among all of us. You know, so when you said just now that cassava is ours, that the cassava is important to all of us, that's a powerful statement, you know. So what is happening right now, that I am clear who I am is a catalyst, and I'm a connector, and I'm also a provider of information, so that, and I'm also an uplifter. So that way I promote, encourage, celebrate, and uplift others to be the best that they can be, so that together we form this circle of love, you know, this circle of understanding. And it's not just for us, it's not just for Belize, it's not just for Central America, it's for the world, you know, because that is why the United Nations declared us this masterpiece culture, because we are a gift to humanity. And when you what is a gift if you keep it to yourself? Gift is to share. And that is why I am sharing, and I'm always happy to be on this program. So Monday, I'm going to be teaching a class at the University of the West Indies. Thank you, Flavius. That's part of the connection for the gender studies program, you know? And so the more we pass it on, it's like you pass on the baton, you know? And who knows, whoever who is listening to this show could be inspired, will be uplifted. And so it keeps moving on, you know? Like a beautiful chain, a circle.
For real, I've read I said in Jamaica. For real. For real.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We know that the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th is going to be 3 interesting days with some, you know,
powerful,
knowledge.
powerful.
Yes, and you know, what we can say, all of the good things will come out of it. Because you're going to have access to people going to have access to it as well by what, Facebook, right?
And Zoom, Flavius knows the whole works. We have some of your friends will be on again, like Miss Jane Bennett, and we have a young lady from Hopkins. We have my research assistant Rachel, Dr. Joe, discussing some of the same themes but from a different perspective. And we have a lady from Guatemala, Ingrid. She will be on. We have Haitian, a lady from Haiti, who has been part of our conversation, you know. We see the similarities more than the differences we have. And in spite of all the challenges, how we are able to overcome. We actually have a young lady right there in Jamaica. She's a physician studying at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Amy Magdaleno. And she's Garifuna, and she is assisting us in developing our health strategy, which is compatible, you know, aligning with our knowledge, our Garifuna knowledge, and also blending that with the other culture, the other system of the hospital, and so on. And we're also looking at challenging or launching our Indigenous Women's Network and getting young people more involved in the area, especially in the area of science, technology, economic empowerment. Nihanda will be on as giving a presentation about the Duke of Edinburgh Award, which is a mentoring program for you. As you know, Nihanda has visited the Royal Palace. She was representative for the Americas, and exciting sharing. We're continuing to create a sacred space where people can share.
Okay.
We are inviting our approach is, what has the journey been like? What are the lessons you've learned on your journey? So the presenters are not just talking for the sake of talk, but identifying like what are the lessons they learned and some of the innovative ways in which we can get things done, and what has worked in different places. Men who want to do deep sea fishing, for example. So that is something that we are promoting. We're encouraging innovative approaches, innovative ideas,
Yeah.
So that's how we're stepping into it, moving forward in 2021. And hopefully we're going to be able to visit at some point, because we're looking at this circle of like what you call like a pilgrimage to indigenous communities in the circle, right? So we could go to different parts of Central America, South America, Caribbean, Africa, North America with the Maroons in Nova Scotia, United States, and then Central America. And so we're just welcoming people. Yesterday I met some people the day before yesterday, I met some people from Atlanta, Georgia, here in Punta Gorda, African Americans, and they were so excited. We started talking about the importance of the indigenous experience for them. And this is what people like Danny Glover and the ex-mayor of Sacramento, they are so excited. They can't wait to come. And they support us fully. And they have made themselves honorary Garifuna.
All right. Well, we
ready
love
to
to hear
welcome
that.
them.
Yeah, we love to hear things
They're
like
in our
that.
status, Franco. They're in our status.
That's why I say I love to hear that. You know.
Yes, you could say no. You could attach that, honorary Garifuna. You could
Garifuna.
attach that to yourself.
All
Yes,
right.
you could attach that. So when you come to Belize, you will be Garifuna, because then you'll become Garifuna by osmosis.
All right. I love that. Earlier in the conversation, when you mentioned about the virtual, it reminded me of last year.
Yeah.
Last year, Charleston Maroon virtual conference, and one of the theme of it was what the late Colonel Lumsden said was from the Abeng to the internet. And and it's so good to see it coming around in full circle from the Abeng to the internet.
There's a young man, please help me with his name, Flavius, Kasik from Jamaica. This young man. Anyway, he was on.
Yeah.
He was on all of our radio shows.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Kasik, yeah.
Yes. And it was so beautiful.
Yeah, man. He's the head of the Tylos in Jamaica. In fact, his inauguration was actually done in Charlestown last year.
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful.
He's very brilliant.
He was
very brilliant.
He was on our show. He was on our radio show. I hope we can get him on this. But he, one of the things that he said, which was very powerful, we could have listened to him for hours, that by internet we were able to feel the depth and the spirit of the connection, It's like it just transcended all borders and boundaries. We could connect with such depth. And so from the Abeng to the internet is a very powerful statement. And we're really in a sacred moment right now as Indigenous people. We also are beginning to go into the depth of looking at our different foods, like we talk about the UNESCO, the intangible, making it tangible. Each food, not just cassava, there are many other foods, there are many other plants, there are many other products that we use for body care and so on, So that has been a very beautiful part of the journey. And expecting that more will show up. The best is,
Queen Lubafu, before
yeah.
we leave, I have a question from someone in the chat room.
Uh-huh.
Afofi said, could you please ask her to comment for a moment on the face that the Garifuna people were not enslaved people?
Oh yeah, that's a beautiful question. It is true. We were not enslaved, and in fact, one of the reasons why we placed in sent away or expelled or exiled or tricked and leaving Yorome St. Vincent is because we refused to succumb. We are like the Haitian people, and that is why we are having a presenter from Haiti. And I am so thankful for that question, because that's what Danny Glover and the different leaders, the African American leaders in the United States, make reference to. They say that what touches them is the fact that we were not enslaved. And so that is something that resonates very strongly with them. And they want to be a part of the experience of not having had that assault, even though we were assaulted in other ways, even though we experienced genocide, even though there were treaties that were made that were broken, even though our leadership was tricked into acquiescing into a trap. The fact of the matter that it's so much embedded in us as a people that we have been able to sustain that sense of dignity no matter what. So, and it's something I am really beginning to appreciate in a deeper sense, because I basically took it for granted. We take it for granted, you know? We take it for granted, our state of being. And now we are becoming more aware, or recognizing or acknowledging it in a deeper way, because of our interaction with other people who have had the experience of enslavement. And not to like condescend or look down on others, but it's a sense of resilience that keeps us going, that no matter what, we will not be defeated. So that is something that, in my father, actually, I always think about my father. He wrote a song for the Garifuna people, and I learned it as a child, and part of the words of the song our escape from slavery made us flee across the wide and deep blue sea, seeking for a land and home to live in freedom on our own. Our escape from slavery made us free across the wide and deep blue sea, seeking for a land and home to live in freedom on our own. You know, I had to sing at some point.
Yes, I don't mind. Well, Queen.
So, yes.
It brings us to the end of another interesting conversation with you today. We know somebody else is coming on the 2nd of March. I don't know who that person is. I don't know if it's you again.
We'll see.
But somebody else is coming on the 2nd of March.
We'll see. That will make sense for Martha, so we'll see how that's going to go.
Yeah, so with that, we thank you for taking time out this morning. And
blessing.
We know you're going to be back.
Blessing.
We don't know when, but we know you're coming forward. We're not going to use the word back no more. You're coming forward.
Yes. You have a beautiful day as you honor Garifuna selves. And when you come to Belize, we're going to make it official, right? When you all visit Belize or be a part of a Garifuna community, you'll need to spend 3 days in our sacred space.
No problem.
And we'll make it official.
Not a problem at all.
No problem.
All right, Flavius. Take care. Have a beautiful day here.
You too,
Thank you so
Lubafu.
much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, blessings.
Blessed,
Thank you.
blessed,
You're
blessed.
welcome. Bye-bye.
That was wonderful. Queen Lubafu this morning with us, telling us about the GARIFUNA Nation and its upcoming Women's Movement virtual conference, March 7th, 8th, and 9th. So, Flavius, with that, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yes. So, for all of you who are listening this morning, viewing this morning, we thank you also for taking time out. Those who are able to ask questions, pass out love and whatever in the chat room. Do join us tomorrow when we have Cook and Curry and Dan in London with football. Cook and Curry chef tomorrow will be our chef, my beloved chef, your beloved chef, Chef Errol Sinclair from Tapioca Retreat and Village, or Village and Retreat. I'm mixing up right there, so flavors. So
Okay.
he will be here tomorrow to do Cook and Curry, and Dan will be here to give us football. So as always, take care of yourself, your loved one. Remember, prayer changes things, regardless what religion you belong to. Continue to pray, and take care of your neighbors and love them as though you'd love yourself. We're gonna leave here with as always, Queen Lubafu with the words of our father in the GARIFUNA Nation language. Then Tafina to take us out. Flavius?
Oh, yeah. Well, I must tell the listeners that we have bright sunshine now. Bright sunshine, so changing faces of the weather, But I can't emphasize more, and, I have to stick with it every day, that we in this new era that we are in, it is so much more important for you to be very disciplined and respect yourself, your family, your neighbors, your friends, everybody. Even the man on the street have to have respect. Don't walk too near to him. Stay as far as you can. And the overriding thing is that I always say is, make your home sterile and do everything you can to keep it that way, so you are totally comfortable when you're at home. The restrictions and all these things don't bother you, because you follow all the protocols. When you get home, you wash off whatever came, touched you. You put on different clothes, and you are in your space. Your family and everybody are in this space, and you keep it sterile.
You lead us to Fula. You belong away away. Ajuguala lebabu seru. Lida mua, lida sungfula. Lida mua, lida sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer so rough. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me know what set me if it could flee. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi take away me say. Me I fi hide like a thief in the night. Me I fi get out of sight. Me I fi take away myself. I fi take away myself. I have to utilize I wings. Surely I cleave where I ease.
Unfortunately, this is it. Till next time.
I
Bless.
find you very hard to resist. With this relationship, I'm gonna desist.